lengthy, but I don't think it's super challenging. So today we're going to kind of go over the project, go over the expectations, kind of give you an overview of what the rest of the week is going to look like, and kind of tell you some of the stuff that's coming up in the very near future for AP testing in this class and all that good fun stuff. So like I said, if you will go ahead and get into Canvas, go down to today's student. Now, before we get into new stuff, let's talk about old stuff. DBQ essay, graded a bunch of them yesterday. If you submitted it before the end of the day yesterday, I tried to get a lot of those in. Graded a good chunk before school today. Got kind of up a little bit early to do that. I should be done with the DBQs because that's the main thing I'm working on today. Hopefully before I leave today. So check your grade. DBQ is the last official grade of the 6 weeks, so that'll be a good indication of where you stand aside from the extra credit in AP Classroom, which I haven't put on there yet, even if you've done it, and anything that you're missing that you might still turn in. Again, all missing assignments, the AP Classroom, extra credit, all that stuff is going to close down on Friday at 4:30. So make sure that you know where you're at, you know what you need to do. But like I said, hopefully by the end of the day, your grade for the 6 weeks, at the very least, whatever's in there, it won't go down at all. Today, like I said, we're going to get started on a project that is going to be due next Monday. That's going to be the first grade, the first test grade in the next 6 weeks. This project is over our last unit of new material globalization. Pretty straightforward, the project, but if you do what I ask, you're going to get everything that you need. To kind of assess if, though, you learned what you had to, on Tuesday, we are going to have an SAQ over really all this stuff, globalization in general. And then as Unit 9 is kind of the last of our new material, next Wednesday, we are going to have our last district common assessment. It's going to cover everything 1900 to present. So world wars, Cold War, decolonization, and of course, globalization. So lots of stuff coming up. Next 6 weeks is going to start off, within the first 3 days with 2 test grades and a daily grade. The idea is I like to kind of front load a lot of our grades, especially for the end of the year, because, things get weird at the end of the year. STAR tests and the AP tests and people in and out. I like to kind of get more grades up front. That way we're not scrambling at the very end. So DBQ grades, like I said, they'll be in by the end of the day. If you haven't turned it in yet, please do so. Trying to think what else. Kind of got a good idea of where we're going for the next several days. After that, we are going to get into AP exam, semester exam review mode, all the way up until May the 10th, when we actually have the AP test if you're taking it. Speaking of AP testing, we are starting our AP test tutorials this week. This Thursday and the next 3 Thursdays, we're going to get together either in person or online, kind of talk about strategies more than anything else. We'll devote each tutorial for one portion of the test, kind of break down the time limits, go over some strategies, go over some ways to maybe help you be successful on those portions. They'll run every Thursday from this Thursday all the way to May the 6th, 4:30 to roughly 5:15. Might end up a little bit early, might end a couple minutes late, but that's kind of what I'm thinking during those days. Also, we are going to have an online AP mock exam, probably an AP classroom. It's going to be open Saturday the 24th, Sunday the 25th. You choose the time you sit down and do it, but you do need to sit down and complete it all in the same time period. It's like 3 some odd hours. If you complete all of the sections, you will get 20 points of extra credit, but I'm also going to type up like a summary of what you did good on, what you did bad on, how you did on each section, and ultimately what your predicted AP score would be. That is optional, but highly encouraged. I learned today that we are going to have some options for in-person mocks. I'm still looking and seeing what I want to do with that, whether it's going to be the same test or a different mock exam. I will let you know here in the next couple days what the game plan is on that. Either way, there's going to be opportunities for mock testing, multiple opportunities. Definitely, if you're taking the AP exam, I would highly encourage you to do so. So let's kind of take a look at this. If everyone will go ahead and go down to the globalization project. Let's explain what this is. It's a good amount, but the good thing is, even though there's a lot to it, it's not all that difficult. It's going to take you a little bit of time, but you may be able to find some ways to kind of minimize what all you got to do. So the AP World History Modern Unit 9 Globalization PowerPoint project, this is going to be a major grade. It will be due next Monday by midnight in Canvas. Let's go over the instructions. A lot of really important things here. Using Unit 9 of the AMSCO book, students will create a PowerPoint presentation summarizing key material from Chapter 9.1 to Chapter 9.8. Now, before you get overwhelmed, like, oh my God, like 8 chapters, guys, in the new AMSCO book, the chapters are like 3 pages long, sometimes shorter, sometimes a little bit longer. Either way, it's not like a whole bunch. The project can be completed individually or in small groups of up to 4 students. Now, let's talk about this. This can be a group project. It can be individual. That is entirely up to you. If you have a group, you can have no more than 4 kids in it. Group members do not have to be in this class. It can be from any of my classes. Okay, you guys will just have to communicate exactly who's doing what, on your own time. But that is the cool thing, especially since we're doing it online. I'll show you how to share PowerPoint stuff and whatnot here in a minute. But it can be anybody in any of my classes. Okay, here's the thing though, and I'm not trying to be mean about anything. Let's just face the facts. This year, more than any other year in my entire career, I've had more kids that really just don't do a whole lot. We're going to have more kids fail than ever, more kids being sophomores than ever. I mean, that's not just here, that's across the board, that's nationwide. So if you are going to be in a group, be careful. Okay, a kid that right now has an average of a 4 for the semester probably ain't going to put a whole lot of effort into this one project because it's not going to do much for them. So choose your partners carefully. Pick your friends, pick people you trust, pick people that you know are going to really do their part. Because if you choose to be in a group, I mean, you're all getting the same grade. You've kind of entered into that agreement that you're splitting the work in exchange for you all, getting the same grade. So if you pick 3 partners and they all turn out to kind of be, pretty lazy and don't do their part, I mean, that is what it is. So make sure you just choose your partners carefully. You do not have to do this with partners. You can do it on your own. But if you've got some people that you trust, that will do their part, obviously that's going to be the easiest way to go. So just keep that in mind. It's entirely up to you whether to do it on your own or with a partner or partners. But if you don't do it in partners, pick people you trust, and you can have no more than 4 people in your group. Anyway, each chapter should be represented in the PowerPoint with a minimum of 1 slide each. 5 in-depth PowerPoint or bullet points, summarizing key ideas from the chapter in 1 relevant picture or illustration. So for each chapter I'm going to go over, you need at least 1 slide, at least 5 bullet points, and 1 picture that goes with it. It can be more than 1 slide. Okay, you may want to do 3, 4 slides on a chapter, but I need at least 1 slide that kind of hits up on those areas. Additionally, each chapter will have specific required information, I'll tell you about that here in a second, that must be included to receive full credit. So this is kind of a sample of what it could and should look like. This is the minimum requirements. You can obviously go over if you so choose. Slide 1, this is required. I need an introduction slide with the title, Globalization Project, and all of your names. If it's just you, it's just 1 name. If it's anybody else in your group, add those names as well. If you leave a name off, that person's not going to get credit for whatever they did. Okay, it'll be like they did nothing at all. So this is a really important slide. That way I know who I'm assigning the grades to. Slide number 2, potentially more, you're going to go over Chapter 9.1, Advances in Technology and Exchange After 1900. You need to include a summary of the chapter and specific examples of new modes of communication and transportation, new sources of energy, new forms of birth control, new medical innovations, and the Green Revolution. Now, I didn't just pick this stuff out of a hat. These are the things that you need to know based on the College Board Curriculum Guide. Some of the sections you're going to read are literally like called this. You're going to see a lot of this stuff in bold. So it's not going to be hard to include that. I mean, a lot of it's what you naturally would include anyway if you were summarizing a chapter, summarizing a section. But you do need to have these areas represented on your slide or slides over each chapter, just to kind of make sure you get everything that you need. Slide 3, Chapter 9.2, Technological Advances and Limitations After 1900 Disease, include a summary and specific examples of diseases associated with poverty, emergent epidemic diseases, and diseases associated with increased longevity. Chapter 9.3, Technological Advances, Debates about the Environment, include a summary and specific examples of desertification, deforestation, decline in air quality, increased consumption of fresh water, and climate change. Chapter 9.4, Economics in the Global Age. This and probably the next one have the most stuff. Include a summary and specific examples of government's increased encouragement of free market policies, knowledge economies, Asian production and manufacturing economies, Latin American production and manufacturing economies, economic and regional trade agreements, and multinational corporations. Chapter 9.5 calls for reform and responses, includes summary and specific examples of challenges to the assumptions about race, class, gender, and religion, increase in access to education and political and professional roles, environmental movements, and economic movements. 9.6, globalized culture, includes summary and specific examples of global culture, global consumerism. Chapter 9.7, resistance to globalization, include a summary and specific examples of responses to economic globalization. And finally, Chapter 9.8, institutions developing in a globalized world, include a summary and specific examples of new international organizations devoted to maintaining world peace and international cooperation. Then if you are in a group, I do need at least a 10th slide, just kind of summarizing what each group member did. I want to see that the work was at least split apart relatively evenly. As far as how you're going to be graded, this is the rubric. 70% of your grade is coming from the content. That's having the appropriate number of slides, at least a slide per chapter. You got your intro slide. You got your slide at the end telling what everybody did. You covered all the material that I have required here with a minimum of 5 bullet points. In all likelihood, it's probably going to take a little bit more. Pictures. PowerPoint's pretty lame if you don't have pictures, so find some pictures that tie to the various topics that you're presenting over. Need a minimum of 8 pictures. Again, they do need to be relevant to the content. It can't just be random stuff. These last ones are pretty much give me points, but not exactly. Visual appeal, is it neat? Is it engaging? Is it a professional looking presentation, or does it look like something that you just slapped together? Again, that's only 5 points, but it's something. Same deal for spelling and grammar. Again, there shouldn't be any spelling and grammar problems because, you know, PowerPoint's going to catch that and kind of put it in red and ask you to fix it. That's pretty easy stuff. That should be a freebie, but of course, you know, there's no guarantees. Guys, in many ways, you know, we've done all these notebook assignments throughout the years. This is like a very, very large notebook assignment, but instead of doing it in your notebook, you're doing it in PowerPoint. That's essentially what it is. Summarize in similar ways you have in the past. Obviously, if it's something in bold, you know, it's probably something that needs to be included in your summary. Make sure these various areas are represented, and if you do that, this shouldn't be that bad. Now, it's a decent amount, so I would encourage you to work with the group if you can. But if you can't, if you're diligent, there's no reason you can't do this because I'm going to give you a whole lot of time. You will have the rest of the day today. You will have, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in class. You will have Monday in class. This is going to be due on Monday before midnight. Now, after today, we will talk a little bit about each one of these chapters at the very beginning of class. We're going to watch some Heimler's history videos over each chapter. Okay, this is the benefit of making sure you get what I absolutely need you to know, because we are going to take some notes over the videos to put in our notebook check. But also this may even kind of give you some points of emphasis that you want to further go into in your PowerPoint. Most days this will take about 10 minutes at the beginning of class because these videos are short. Once that's done, you will have the remainder of the class period to work on this. As far as if you want to work on this with a partner or not, it's up to you. It can be a partner, it can be a group. You could have up to 4 people in your group. Pretty easy, though, to do it. If you go into your student SSO, you get into Office 365, they make it really easy to share your work in PowerPoint. So you go over to PowerPoint, you start a new presentation. You can kind of horse around with the design and all that stuff. If you need help with that, let me know. But it's pretty straightforward once you play around with it a little bit. There's YouTube videos that can show you everything too. But all you got to do is go to share. You put in the emails. I think that's probably the best way, of the people that are in your group. Okay, once you do that and you send it out, they will be able to access the PowerPoint. They can be working on it at the exact same time as you. You'll sometimes actually see them working on it as you're working on it. That's why it doesn't have to be people in this class. It could be in any of my classes. Just make sure you put everybody's names on the first slide, and on the last slide, tell me what everybody did. Again, you got about a week to do this, close to a week of class time, but you've got all that time, after school, on the weekend, whatever you need to do. Again, it's a decent amount, but, mix it up a little bit. I've been showing you guys PowerPoints all year. I figure it's probably time you made one of your own. Trying to think if that's, yeah. Oh, one more thing I want to show you, and then I'll, address any questions. Let's say you really want some partners, but you don't know anyone. Maybe you don't know anyone in here. Maybe you don't know anyone in my other classes. Maybe you're just not sure. I started a little discussion board to where if you are looking for a partner, you can go in here, put your name, put your email address. People can maybe reach out to you. And you can get in there and kind of look for people. Now, this is not required. Let me stress, you do not have to have a group. You do not have to have a partner. But if you want to, man, it could make it easier. You get 4 people, instead of doing stuff over 8 chapters, you're doing 2, If you get 2 people, well, you cut that in half. I mean, obviously, working with someone else is going to be beneficial if you can trust them. Just make sure it's someone you can trust. Make sure it's somebody who actually cares about their grade, because unfortunately, there's a decent number of students at this point that frankly don't. So take that for what it's worth. I know that was a lot, and I talked real fast. Are there any questions about the game plan for the next week or so? Okay, my suggestion today, decide for yourself, do you want to do this by yourself, or do you want to maybe do it with a group? If you want to do it with a group, think about some people that you would like to work with, text them, email them, try to reach out, try to establish some sort of rapport with them. Then I would say by the time you get here tomorrow, you want to know who's doing what. Once you do that, read the chapters. This does need to come from the book, guys. Don't go get a bunch of stuff off the internet. The book actually has what you need. But read the chapters, maybe do a little outline in your notebook, and then just transfer it over. If you only got, if you're in a group of 4, you're really not doing too much. So make sure you do the reading over your assigned section. Make sure you do the notes over your assigned section. Transfer it over. Make it look good. Like I said, you got about a week to get this worked out. If you guys have questions, if you need anything, if you're like, oh my God, I've never messed with the PowerPoint before, let me know. It's really not that bad, okay? It's not nearly as bad as it seems. I think once you get started, you'll realize you can get through with this relatively quickly, especially if you're working with some other people. But that's pretty much it today. The rest of your day is yours to figure out who, what, when, where, who's doing what, if you're doing it by yourself, kind of coming up with a game plan, and then the rest of the week, and get to it. Like I said, this project's going to be due on Monday before midnight. On Tuesday, we're going to do a little SAQ over the content covered in the project. And then next Wednesday, we're going to do our last district common assessment. And after that, we're in full-on review mode all the way up until May 10th. Other than that, if you need anything, let me know. If you want to listen to your headphones, that's fine. If you're working with someone in here, obviously you can talk quietly, get organized. If you need to move, that's fine. Just let me know if you need anything. Good luck.